Welcome to another episode of the No More Wasted Days podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Sarah.
I'm Heather.
And today, Heather is going to be talking about, I think, one of the best topics out there, tackling the idea of, am I boring now that I quit drinking? And this is something that so many trolls comment on my podcast like, well, now you're really boring. And we are going to prove those trolls wrong today.
That's right. So I think, and I hear from the folks that I work with, one of the biggest fears about quitting alcohol, you're suddenly boring. No more wild nights, no more fun, just early bedtimes and herbal tea. Now, that can be wrong. Notice I said can be wrong.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about the boring myth and proving that life without alcohol isn't less fun. It's actually more interesting. You ready to get into it, Sarah?
Ooh, yeah. And I like the way you reframed that it's more interesting because I know that's totally true. So I'm excited for you to tell us why.
Yeah. So the root of this is fear. Why do we think sobriety equals boring? Society equates drinking with fun, adventure, and rebellion. Society, probably in every culture, it's a global thing. We've got movies, TV, and ads that sell us the idea that alcohol equals excitement. When we quit, the fear sets in. Will people still invite me out? Will I lose my sense of adventure? Am I just going to stay home and do puzzles forever?
Maybe, but no. I only say that because I went through a major puzzle phase this year. We
Mhm.
did we did one puzzle. So that was the extent of my puzzle phase on my whole sober journey. So I've been sober for 6 years almost, and I've done one puzzle.
I have done 0.
Well, there you go. I do know people who puzzles are their
Mhm.
jam on their
Yeah.
sobriety journey.
I think a
So,
lot of folks started doing puzzles during the pandemic and whatnot. And I couldn't even think at the beginning of my journey about a puzzle because I was struggling so hard. This is kind of
yeah.
like the more I've learned and like the tools that help people, and they're like, oh my God, I'm boring. So,
And then at the beginning when you mentioned, "Am I just gonna stay in and have early nights and sip on herbal tea?" I'm like, "Well, what's wrong with that?"
right, that's exactly what I'm doing. And I don't do that all the time, though, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, Sarah, when you first stopped drinking, what did you expect in what actually happened in terms of this topic?
Well, I was really worried that I would be super boring and that my friends would no longer like me. Like that was my number one fear. I would lose all of my friends because I would quit drinking and I would be super boring. And the reality is, I did lose some quote unquote friends. I lost some acquaintances where all we really had in common was drinking. I did try to keep those friends. It's just that I kind of lost interest in them. Maybe they lost interest in me too when I quit drinking, so it could have been mutual. But for me, I was like, "Oh my gosh, the only thing I really had in common with this person was drinking." But there are other people who I even drank with, right? Or that I didn't, that I became closer to. And our relationships became more, I want to say intense. That's the word that's coming to my brain, but like that's not quite it. More in depth, I guess. And I got to know them so much better. So that was my number one fear, that I would be boring because I wouldn't have any friends.
Yeah.
And while my friend circle has gotten smaller, I do like, is it Daniel Patterson that always says like it's better to have 4 quarters than 100 pennies?
I've been known to say that a few times as well. I firmly believe that. Whomever created it, I firmly believe it.
Yeah, it's a really good one, and it is just like, yeah, think about when you have 100 pennies, like, ugh, brings you down, right?
Yeah,
But when you've got 4 quarters, you're like, "Heck yeah, I can actually spend this without feeling like they're gonna judge me for counting out 100
right.
pennies."
Yeah. It was not my biggest fear at all.
Yeah.
And I did think, will I mean, well, let me rephrase that. I expected to feel boring as a person from other people's perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just assumed because I hung out with folks who drank, so I would just assume that they would think I was boring. And I actually learned that it's just simply not a concern of mine if I am perceived as boring. I was talking to a client about this recently. That of all the fears that I have, that's just not one of them. And
Yeah.
I really like my routines and my goofiness and exploring new and different ways to have fun. Home by 9 p.m., sign me up.
Oh my god, yes. I
Mhm.
was actually the choir I sing with, they do karaoke at a local bar once a month, and it starts at 8 p.m. I don't know if I'm ever gonna make it.
I don't know
We
about
I w I was gung ho. I was gonna go the last time. I had my song planned and everything, and then I got home to Ryan, and he was at the beginnings of his appendix bursting, so
oh,
so
well,
we didn't go that night.
yeah.
So maybe the next time I'll go and do my Chapel Roan song.
Yes. Yes, yes,
But
yes.
I keep telling myself, like, "I can do it. Just because I'm sober doesn't mean I can't go out after 8 p.m." And that's really not the reason at all. It really is that I like to wear comfortable pants, like, by that time. I
Yeah,
like to wear comfortable pants all the time, let's be real, but definitely by 8 p.m., oh my god, bra off, comfortable pants on. So
sure.
that's probably what makes that the hardest for me. Does that make me sound boring? I don't know.
I think it sounds very practical and, like, who can have fun in uncomfortable pants, right?
Oh my gosh, right? Yeah, I gotta find cool, comfortable pants that I can wear and go to karaoke.
Yeah.
That's like I gotta put it on my bucket list so I can be like, "Look, I'm fun."
Yes, that's why I'm a big fan of leggings too. So, you think about, like, the times that I have been out till, like, 12 or 1, it feels like 5 in the morning, and it's still fun. It's actually
Yeah.
fun in my thoughts. So, the myth and the reality of, like, who's really boring. So, hear me out. Drinking makes you feel spontaneous in the moment, but doing the same drunk thing every weekend isn't that interesting. Having the same conversations at bars or at home gets repetitive.
Oh, yeah.
Waking up with a hangover, canceling plans equals less adventure, not more. Sobriety leads to more energy to try new things, better conversations, and deeper friendships,
Mhm.
and actually remembering your experiences.
Yes. And you can have an experience in the evening and you can still wake up in the morning and go out and have another like cool life experience, which is something I couldn't do when I was a drinker. Maybe I would have what I thought was a really fun experience of drinking till God knows when, but then the next day it was wasted. And it was just
Yeah.
like, nope, this isn't I'm not going to be able to do anything today. And now I'm like, oh yeah, I can jam pack a weekend full of fun and productivity. Like, it's crazy to me.
Yeah. There's so much more of a balance.
Mhm.
And, just as a reframe, is it really exciting if you're doing the same shots in the same bars every weekend?
Yeah, I thought when you were talking about, like, the same conversation over and over, I always think about me and Ryan sitting around the fire pit, which we don't do as much now. I would love to hear from other people who've been sober for a while. Like, we used to fire pit it up when we were drinking, and now we're like, "Oh, we should go sit around the fire pit," and we're both kinda like, "Eh." There was something about drinking and being around the fire pit, so I'll give it that. But we would be around the fire pit and we would have what we thought were the most deep conversations. Like we were going to another level with each other, right? Just like,
Mm,
whoa, these conversations we were having. We didn't remember them the next day.
yeah.
We actually got to the point where we would be like, "Oh my god, put this in the notes of your phone because we're going to remember this. We won't remember this tomorrow and then we'll see this note and we'll be like, "Yes." We would look at those notes sometimes and be like, "What does this even mean?" Or be like, "This is the stupidest idea ever."
Yeah. Yeah, or like me, like, if I did remember, it would be something like a podcast, which if you can't do a podcast, couldn't do a podcast the way I drank and fulfill the commitments and be on time and have the energy to do a podcast.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man, I think about, like, the setup and the takedown of getting yourself all ready to get filmed and everything. Now that we're on camera, making ourselves look presentable. I'm still in comfortable pants
Same.
from waist down, everybody. But it's just like, yeah, I couldn't those things were too overwhelming when I was a drinker. I mean, I went to my teaching job, obviously, but I would think about my online job and I would be like, "Oh, I'm gonna do all these things. I'm gonna do a YouTube. I'm gonna do this and that." I just couldn't find the energy.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I can find the energy, go figure."
Yeah. So when we think about like rebuilding that idea of fun and adventure, think about what actually makes a memorable experience. And it's not alcohol.
Yeah.
You can still travel, go to concerts, have wild nights, out, do weird, hilarious things with your friends,
Yes.
and you're more likely to follow through on the plans when you're sober.
Yeah. Oh my god, you can do all the things. That's what I had to really remind myself when I quit drinking. Like, when I'd be like, "Well, what am I gonna do now?" I would always tell myself, "Anything you used to do when you were drinking, you just can't drink now."
Mhm.
Granted, I would try some of the things I used to do when I was drinking and I didn't like them. I was like, "Eh, that's not as fun as I thought it was. It's actually kinda boring." But it's like I found new fun things, and oh my gosh, you can have so like, I've been to concerts sober, I've traveled sober, I've had wild nights out. Like, I have done it all, and I can 100% say it's all better sober
Yeah.
because you remember it.
Yeah, it's far, far, far better. So I have a challenge
Yeah,
for the listeners. What's something fun you've always wanted to do but never did because drinking got in the way? So really think about this question, and if comfortable, leave us a comment on YouTube or Spotify because we would love to hear.
I like that. I think my something fun, I used to just sing karaoke when I was drunk, and it was terrible. I've seen the videos, and that is something that I haven't done yet sober. I've been out with people doing karaoke, but I'm always like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna do that." So maybe I need to challenge myself to go for it and get the little adrenaline rush that you get, and, probably actually be a little better.
Yeah, I always wanted to learn the piano, and I'm doing that.
Yeah,
So that's an example of mine.
that's cool.
So, and this is a little refresher on what to say when people ask, "Why aren't you drinking?" I changed it up a little bit. You could flip it on them. "Why do you need alcohol to have fun?" This does not feel comfortable to me. And
Yeah.
it could be a door to have a deeper conversation with the correct context and time.
Yeah. I think with the correct person, it could actually be a really
Mhm.
great comment. But if you're going into it just to almost make the other person feel bad,
Right.
I'm like, that goes into the whole
Yeah.
judging other people because they're not drinking and that's not what you want to do. Right.
Mhm.
But I do think if it's the right person, or maybe they're a little sober curious,
Yeah.
I, I needed those kind of questions proposed to me. Like, well, why do you think you need it to have fun?
Yeah. Or what do you enjoy about it? It could come from a place of
Yeah.
curiosity in terms of the person that you're speaking to.
Yeah.
Overall, I think that you need to be confident in your response, but I realize that this particular response and confidence can feel overwhelming. And it's really simple. I
Yeah.
realized I don't need it. I'm experimenting with being more present. I got tired of feeling like shit. I'm in a different phase of my life right now. And the cool thing is, people mirror your energy. If you act like it's no big deal, they will too.
I love that tip. Like, it is so, so true. If you feel awkward, the other people are gonna feel awkward. But and you are allowed to feel awkward when you're saying it, but give off the vibe that you could care less. Like, so
Yeah.
that's why I always say practice it. Practice, 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 because the more you practice it, the easier it gets to say these things, like, be all nonchalant, as my kids say.
That's cute. I think when you keep it brief, you're able to act like it's not a big deal. And
Yeah,
then we keep it moving? It's just easier. Like, people, and myself included, want to explain and explain. And it's just like, I don't need it.
right.
I don't. Thanks.
Yeah.
So, Sarah, have you had a funny exchange in this? Like, when you've told someone that you no longer drink, has it come out like funny? Has it been like,
I'm trying to think of times where I've kind of mentioned it and people have laughed. It's probably where I'm like, say something like, I did enough drinking in my first 40 years that I don't need to do it in the second half of my life type thing,
mm,
phrasing it like that for people. Or, I feel sometimes like when I say those things, maybe they're like, oh, did you have a problem? But then nobody ever asks because usually if you just joke about it, honestly, I usually just tell people, like, I don't drink anymore. They don't usually ask why, and it's kind of a keep it moving situation, but
I recently ran into someone that I went to college with, and they said, like, "You look great," or something, talking about the old days, like, in comparison, and I was like, "Yeah, I went pro and retired early." And we just laughed and literally kept it moving. We saw each other in passing. So
I
that
love that.
tends to get, like, a jovial reaction out of people. And so
Yeah.
they're expecting it, and it's also very true in my case. So,
I know.
mm,
I have used that one before, and it does get some good laughs,
yeah.
and I do feel like it's a good one to use with people who knew you as a drinker, and, I mean, I've used it with people who didn't even know me as a drinker, and I think it helps them use their imagination a little bit, and then they just, like you said, keep it moving. I think about that so much now. You say that, and that is like a phrase in my brain. Keep it moving, keep it moving.
It's like a I've been saying that for years. It's like a mantra that's stuck.
Yeah, it's a really good one.
So, when we're thinking about creating a life that's actually fun without booze, think about how replacing alcohol doesn't mean replacing fun. It means replacing what wasn't working.
I like that. Like, just a little shift.
And you want to try new things. And I know trying new things is hard and it's scary at first. Boy, do I know. And fun fact, it works. That's why people tell you to do it. That's why we tell our kids, like, you need to try new things, like, try this food, try this sport, try that,
Mhm.
reason. So, like Sarah was saying earlier, karaoke, dance nights, concerts, festivals, night hikes, no thank you. Just hike, me. Indoor cat, absolutely not. But you're
You're
right.
like, "You're not gonna get me out at nighttime in the
I'm not
forest,
going.
people."
Sarah couldn't take y'all because I'm not doing it. In her comfy pants. And you go on a road trip, you can find new hobbies. And my favorite is deep conversations with people who actually remember them.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
And then when you start living for real experiences, you realize you're not living for a temporary high.
And your life doesn't feel boring anymore because you're having real authentic experiences and they fill you up.
Mhm.
And those temporary highs, you were like, "Oh, this is so fun. This is so fun," but they weren't filling you up and they drain you.
Mm.
And it's just like, so you just have to keep going and trying and trying and trying again to have the next fun experience. And it's just like, go have the real thing. It's way better. It's like having a real Coke versus a Diet Coke.
Yeah, true. So, Sarah, I thought about this fun and for the listeners to talk about a couple things that we could kind of like lighten up about, right?
Okay.
So, music and pop culture, we know that's filled with glorifying drinking. So,
Yeah.
fun versus reality. The first thing that popped in my head was the T-Pain song, "Imma buy you a drink." I'll spare you from any type of singing here,
I wish it would happen, because 'cause isn't it gonna be rap if you make it happen?
possibly.
I would like this.
I
Future episode.
I absolutely love T-Pain, for a very random fact, and it's all fun and games until you wake up on the floor with your eyelashes on your forehead. I am speaking from experience. But that first song, like, it says, "Imma buy you a drink," like, over and over and over, that it says what you're gonna do and all these it sounds so fun until, again, you're on the floor with a falsie on your forehead.
Is that really part of it?
No, that's what really happened
I love that.
in the 2000s after a night of Tane and, like, Ciroc vodka.
It's
So,
like,
yeah.
so I think for me, one thing that I do is I don't know, we've been taught to write like play the tape forward, right? Or think through the drink. So one thing I do when I'm watching people and they're having such a fun time on their show, having their wine or whatever, I think through what it would be like in reality for them the next day and what they don't
Oh,
show
yeah.
us.
Mhm,
Sometimes they show us, right? I mean, there's The Hangover, a whole movie dedicated to it. But it's like, and that one really does show like, oh my God.
mhm.
But I even watch like when I will be watching a show and I'll see people like drinking responsibly, having a glass of wine, I will think it through as if I'm the person and I'm like, "Oh, nope, I couldn't drink responsibly anymore. That's why I had to quit." Right? Good for that person. I'm glad they can. But then one that really comes to mind is How I Met Your Mother, and it's all most of that show takes place in a bar. And they are drinking every single night. And I know they're young, but they are like never hungover. I feel like they just never show that part of it. And I'm like, those young people were hungover from time to time with the
Yeah,
amount they were drinking.
mhm.
So that's one where I really do have to like flip it and go, yeah, let's think about what this really looks like when I am feeling triggered by it, which I don't get that too much when I'm watching a show.
I don't really either anymore, and
Yeah, I'm
it's
trying to remember if in the beginning I did. I was watching when I first quit drinking, we were watching. That's the one with Frank, the dad that's an alcoholic. It's HBO with all the kids. Shameless. I was watching that, and Frank is a total alcoholic. I shouldn't say it like that. I mean, he is, like, ruining his life with his drinking at that point. He's taken it so far, and for me, it made me be like, "Oh, I'm so glad I stopped now." It was one of those things. It was kind of a cathartic thing for me to watch in a weird way because my drinking wasn't at that level, but it made me just be like, "I'm so glad I wasn't there. I'm so glad I quit early,"
Yeah.
type thing. So there's lots of differences there with it.
Yeah. I'm gonna take this reality, my current reality, any day over it.
Yeah.
And if I wake up on the floor with a false eyelash on my head, there will be a reason that I remember, and it better be a good one. You know,
Oh, it's gonna be so good.
that would sounds really painful. Um, so I thought about like mocktails. It's something that I've been enjoying, which I'm not. This is not an area in which I excel in sobriety. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not a race. It's just people are like, "What do you drink? Water." So recess drinks with different flavors and a fun like mixers,
Mhm.
a fun glass with like the good ice.
What's the good ice for you? I'm just curious.
I have a whole machine that makes the good ice. It's like
Like the
the
little stuff.
little
The
ice.
hospital ice.
Yes. I have the whole machine on my counter that makes that because I value it as a human. So, it's crazy what changes when you quit drinking. It's like, "Oh my
It
gosh,
is.
I love it ice machine." So
And you have the money to buy the special ice machine to
right,
make it. So go for it.
right. It's a win-win. You have some fun ones.
Well, I feel like mine's not all that fun, but almost every evening I call it my ginless gin and tonic. And I have ordered it that way at restaurants and they just stare at me and I'm like, okay, wait, this is what I call it. So it's like all it is tonic water. And then I put in some grapefruit juice and then a little splash of lime juice. Like it's so simple, but it for me, it hits the spot. My husband does it with some drops of bitters which do have alcohol in them, but they taste terrible on their own, so I'm pretty sure you're not gonna drink enough of them to do any damage. But he does that. I don't like that. This is, like, too bitter for me, but I love the grapefruit juice in there.
Mm,
That's my big mocktail recipe, but it's my favorite.
yeah. It's fun to play with. Even, like,
Mhm.
little me, like, water and ginger ale was my standard go-to.
Yeah.
So, just play around with them. And I was thinking about, like, funny sober party stories, and I remember the first time I had friends over to play games, I was so nervous about would we have fun without alcohol, and we were playing Cards Against Humanity, which can be vulnerable, to say the
Yeah.
least. There's some content on there that you don't talk about every day. So, it ended up being a great time. I did not win. My friend won, and his perspective and the stuff he came up with was absolutely hilarious. And recently, I have had 3 friends almost pee from laughing. 2 actually did. These were all individual experiences. So,
It's like it does still happen. That happens with me and my sister no matter what, right? We don't need alcohol to laugh so hard we're gonna almost pee our pants.
yeah.
And we can do it by texting each other reels. She'll be like,
Oh,
"Oh my god, I'm laughing so hard I'm about ready to pee my pants."
yes.
And I'm like, "My job here is done."
Right. You're welcome.
My fun sober moment, like sober party was is playing games. I feel like it's a great icebreaker. I feel like you'll think, "Oh, I don't wanna play a game without drinking." It's so fun and it gets people talking, and ours was the game Fishbowl. Have you played that?
Mm-mm.
It's like a charades game, but you have like and this was at the sober retreat that I went to. So we all you put in your own clues and they were all things about our drinking past and we made it pretty funny. Like everybody was laughing pretty hard at everybody's things, but you have to make people guess through either gestures or only saying one word or saying all the words except for the words that are on the thing. And we were laughing so hard. It was so fun. I brought it to my family and they couldn't bring the same energy as us sober baddies could. So I might try it one more time, but I'm kind of like, I don't know, you guys aren't worthy of fun game.
I think that's awesome. I'll have to try that.
Yeah, I'll send you I'll it's gotta be online, so I'll send it to you so you have the whole it's really fun. I played it in my drinking days too, and I remember I loved it then. So I was like, "Oh my god, I'm so excited to play this."
Yeah. I enjoy games far more now, for
Yeah,
sure.
me too.
So I want y'all to know that you are not boring. And yes, drinking can make you do or have fun, but you're the fun one. not the alcohol.
Mhm.
And sober fun equals actually remembering your experiences, feeling amazing, and not living in repeat mode, like 51st dates. When I was preparing for this episode, I saw a quote and it landed with me. A secret to happiness is to be as weird as you like, and the wrong people will leave the party, but the right ones will join the dance.
I love that one.
I thought it was really, really cool. So I wanted to share that with y'all. So we'd love to hear what you think. Again, leave us a comment on YouTube, Spotify, or social media. Hit the follow button and give us a rating. We want to read another one.
Yeah, I was gonna say we have a new one, and I was gonna pull it up and read it if
Oh,
you wanna
yeah,
hear it.
please.
I know, I just saw it yesterday. My phone is being incredibly slow right now. Okay, here we go. It was, so here's our latest rating on Apple Podcasts, and again, thank you guys so much because when I see these pop up, I just, like, give a little squeal, just so you know. So it says, "Sarah and Heather are extremely knowledgeable and have the ability to explain topics in a relatable manner. I highly recommend them." So
Oh,
thank you so much for that.
yeah. Thank you. Made my day. I needed that.
I
Thank
know.
you. Thank you, Sarah. All right. We'll see you next week. Bye, y'all.